My work is done.
Your work is done? Then get out.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to Castillo de San Marcos National Monument for your National Park Service and our weapons firing program for you today. Before we get started with the firing demonstration, though, we do need to go over a few safety guidelines, not only for your safety, but for the preservation of this old historic fortress as well. This building stands today as the oldest masonry fort in the continental United States. And with that kind of title, we all need to do our part to make sure it continues to stand for future visitors. The builders of this facility did not anticipate the 800,000 visitors a year that we have visited now, so we just ask all of you to help us by not climbing, sitting, or standing on the historic cannons, the cannon carriages, or the fragile shellstone walls of the fortress itself. Those of you up front, please stay behind that rope line, and we will open it up after we declare the weapons safe, but please stay back until we say everything is safe at the end of the program. When we call for you to cover your ears, please do so, because these muskets can be fairly loud. If you have any small children with you, please make sure they cover their ears or cover their ears for them when the time comes. For those of you that already have your ears covered, we will definitely let you know when the time is right, so you do not have to spend the entire time with your fingers up ready to go. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what we are about to demonstrate for you today are known as flintlock muskets, the standard firearm that was given to soldiers during the American Revolutionary War throughout the majority of the 1700s. The weapons work in a very simple fashion. When you pull a trigger, a little rock, a sharp rock called a flint, strikes a piece of steel. What do you get when flint and steel make contact? You get a spark. That spark is made to fall into an open pan full of gunpowder. That gunpowder ignites, giving you what they called a flash in the pan. That flash would go through a small opening in the barrels and ignite more gunpowder. When that ignites, it shoots out the musket ball. These weapons were not firing what we know today as bullets, cylindrical pointed objects. What they fired back then was nothing more than a round ball. And when shot, these military weapons, they were not designed to accurately hit targets at long ranges. This is the time of the muzzle loader. Every shot had to be pushed in from the top of the gun to the bottom. Every shot was a round ball. And they wanted it to be quick. A well-trained soldier with this type of weapon was expected to be able to load and fire it 3 to 4 shots a minute. One shot every 15 to 20 seconds. And 15 to 20 seconds seems very fast when you see what they have to go through to get this weapon ready. But for that to happen, the inside of the barrel also has to be smooth. How many of you here today have thrown an American football before? Should be pretty much more than I see in hands right now. If you toss an American football, the way the football players are trained to, it spins and goes nice and straight. But if you just reach up and throw it, it doesn't do that, it just kind of wobbles. Think of these weapons as a football with that wobbled throw. There's no spinning involved. It's not like modern guns where they have grooves inside the barrel that cause the ball to spin its way out. And because there's no grooves in this weapon, a soldier can load it fast in that 15-second period. But without those grooves, that means when the shot is fired, the ball just kind of bounces around and goes out there somewhere. These weapons were not known to accurately hit targets at a far distance, and that is why we read documentaries, see television shows, movies, and read stories about these soldiers getting in a straight, long line on an open field, walking towards another army and shooting at each other. They did this back then because the only way these weapons were really effective is if a lot of them lined up and shot at the same time. Then something might get hit straight ahead. But you got one small problem with these weapons, a fundamental flaw of a flintlock musket. You're relying on a spark to fall on an open pan of powder. If it's raining or windy, you're either not going to get a spark or it's going to blow somewhere else. If it's really windy, the powder blows out of the pan. These weapons needed a nice, good, calm day like today to properly work. And when you fire a weapon like this, black powder is a very dirty material. It gives you the fire, the smoke, and the noise, but it also gives you a black, slimy mess that builds up on all the equipment. Between every single shot, a soldier would have to wipe off those flints and clean the weapon to make sure it works the second time. But in that 15 to 20 seconds that it takes to reload and clean the weapon to make it work the next time, To make sure these soldiers didn't have all that silence as they're waiting to reload their weapon, they would fire their weapons in multiple lines. The front line fired a shot. The second line takes their place and fired a shot. In some armies, a third line would take their place and fire a shot. By the time that last rank is fired, the first rank is reloaded, ready to fire again, and the average soldier, when they went into combat back then, had several types of cartridge boxes. They had a shoulder pouch like I have here. Some of our soldiers even have belly boxes, like our sergeant at the end of the line down there. And the average soldier carried about 9 or 10 rounds. For those of you that have served in the military before, would you go into combat with 10 bullets? Most guns nowadays hold more than that. But back then, the average soldier walked into combat with 9 or 10 shots. And when they stand in these long lines and take turns shooting, by the time you're close enough to the other side that you bring out swords, bayonets, and all the other sharp objects, an individual soldier would leave the battlefield with at least 3 or 4, maybe 5 shots still in their box ready to go. This was a type of combat that needed that close quarters to actually be functional. And ladies and gentlemen, to train these soldiers to be able to fire 3 to 4 shots a minute was a very tedious process. Most of the Spanish soldiers here in St. Augustine in the mid-1700s did not know how to read or write. So rather than hand them a drill manual and say, hey guys, steady up on this, we're going to go learn to shoot in the morning, they would take that 15-second drill and they'd break it up into roughly 27 steps to help get that soldier the muscle memory on what to do. We're going to fire 2 shots for you today. That first shot will be the training drill they did back at home. Every individual step to help that soldier learn how to work his weapon. The second shot, we will demonstrate for you how they actually loaded while in combat. And ladies and gentlemen, everybody here on the firing line today and standing around other than myself, they are all volunteers. They represent the Spanish soldiers that once lived and worked here in St. Augustine. These programs we do here at the Castillo would not be possible if it wasn't for them. So please give them a hand for coming out here today. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we'll let you know when it's time to cover your ears. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Thank you all for visiting with us today.
Soldados, atención! Armas al hombro. A la derecha, media, left. Mano derecha al arma. Retire las armas. Pongan la llave en el tirador. Limpen la piedra. Soplen la casaleta. Saquen el cartucho. Abran el cartucho. Save it. Cierren la casaleta. Pasen las armas al lado izquierdo. Meten el cartucho en el cañón. Saquen la baqueta. Alta la baqueta. Acorta la baqueta. Meten la baqueta en el cañón. Ataque. Y tira la baqueta. Alta la baqueta. Acorta la baqueta. Mete la baqueta en su lugar. Armas al hombro. La mano derecha al arma. Altas las armas. Presenta las armas. Prepare las armas. Apunten. Cover your ears. Esperen. Retira las armas. Pasen Vamos ao lado esquerdo. Ataque.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, that was the practice drill. They did not take that amount of time to load this weapon in combat. That was unheard of. In combat, they would have the weapon down in the recover position, like so, and the sergeant called what you just heard kargan, which was Spanish for load. Each soldier would then load the weapon at their own pace. They would load the weapon at their own pace, and the sergeant would not call his line to fire until he saw every weapon at the shoulder ready to fire. We have two different types of flintlock weapons in the firing line today. They all are the British Brown best of that time period, but we have 3 flintlock weapons and 1 flintlock shotgun of the mid-18th century known as a blunderbuss. After we declare the weapons safe, you all will be welcome to come up close and see these weapons, and they will all be, of course, safe to look at. It looks like we're ready for the next shot. Ladies and gentlemen, please cover your ears.
Mano derecha al arma. Retire las armas. Prepare las armas. Retire las armas. Armas al hombro. A la derecha, línea, dedo. Mano derecha al arma. Descansen sobre las armas. Reháganse bien.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was the 4 flintlock weapons with 2 shots and not one problem with any of the guns. That is pretty much unheard of for the world of the flintlock weapon. With how dirty these weapons get, as you can see, I wiped off a weapon, those of you up close, and they get filthy. A lot of times they don't like to work, but here I am not talking about any of their problems because we had no problems with this demonstration. But at this time, the weapons are safe, so you may approach our crews if you wish to do so. Thank you.